Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Lobby GameSpot's weekly video game hangout here in San Francisco, California. I'm your host, Mike Mahardy, here with Jean-Luc Seipke, not Peter Brown.
How's it going?
Pete's at TGS. We're going to get into some news from there, but we figured we'd bring you on. Rob Hanley.
Hey, what's up?
And Callie Plagge.
Hello.
Who's almost done with Destiny 2 stuff coverage finally.
Yeah, I just put up a PvP beginner's guide.
Cool.
And I'm still playing it, but I think we're winding down on that. I'm playing Danganronpa 3 now.
What the hell is that? No, I'm just kidding. We can talk about that more. Or can you talk about it yet? Or is there?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I saw reviews up.
Yeah.
Okay. We'll talk a little bit about that. Jean-Luc's going to turn off the audio on our in-studio monitor so we don't have an echo here ourselves. We have kind of a full show today. Like I said, Pete's at TGS, so we've got some news out of there. New game from that Yoji Shinkawa is working on, the artist of Metal Gear fame. New trailers and a new VR game announcement, which I'm sure everybody's really excited for. Monster Hunter World release date, and then main parts of the show. A little bit of Pokken Tournament DX is finally on the Switch. We got Echo, indie game that Rob and Pete have been raving about, and I got the chance to play a little bit today, finally. People from IO Interactive of Hitman fame started on it. Dishonored, Death of the Outsider, which I am loving so far, and Divinity Original Sin 2, which didn't really catch us off guard because the first one was really good, but this one kind of like just is massive and really fun, and it kind of caught us off guard how much I'm loving it at least. But
it caught me off guard in that I forgot. Like when they're like, oh yeah, that's out next week, and I was like, oh right, because that game has been in like early access.
And they didn't send out early codes. Like full disclosure, as much as I just want to say, Kevin Van Ord, former reviews editor from GameSpot, worked on a lot of the writing for this game, but of course it's just a fantastic game in its own right. I think Game Informer, Dan Tack over at Game Informer in his review called it the true successor to Baldur's Gate 2, like the classic isometric PC RPG.
That's tough because there arguably have been several true successors to Baldur's Gate 2.
Yeah. High praise though.
Yeah, no, definitely, absolutely.
Cool. And then we also have a giveaway, which I'll get to that at the end of the show. But as always, I'm in the YouTube chat, Twitch chat, and we welcome your comments, concerns, criticisms, but mainly the former.
Mainly
cool.
praise.
And praise. And really nice compliments would be nice too. Cool. So TGS is happening, or is almost over, kind of, over in Tokyo.
Yeah, I think it ends the 24th, I believe.
Peter Brown, so that's Sunday. Peter Brown and Ed Tran, our UK editor, are there covering it. They've done AU editor, thank you, Australia, are covering it. Jake Decker's also in Australia. They kind of swapped, so Jake will be our Ed, and Ed will be our Pete, and then Pete can be Jean-Luc. But yeah,
Whoa.
So Metal Gear artist
What do I get
Yoji Shinkawa. What do you get to be?
Yeah.
You could be Mike. Yoji Shinkawa is working on a mech game called Left Alive. They showed it a little bit, and it's coming from Square Enix. No release date yet, but they showed kind of a teaser trailer during the show.
This shining ass hallway.
Mm-hmm. I got excited when I opened up GameSpot the next morning because a lot of this happened like our time at night.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at GameSpot and I saw Yoji Shinkawa and I saw his iconic Metal Gear-ish art. I was like, wait, what is he doing? I mean, this could be fun. Obviously it's a teaser trailer, but it's always just nice to see.
What is it about? Like, what do you...
Don't know much. I just know it's called Left Alive, and it's a mech game. This city got pretty fucked up.
Mechs are cool.
Mechs are super cool.
Yeah. Titanfall 2.
Did anyone else get like a Death Stranding vibe
anime.
on like that hallway shot?
Yeah.
Yeah, kind of like cinematic.
Slow.
Yeah, like just in the sense of like what they're trying to... like the emotion they're trying to evoke in the trailer.
Yeah.
It doesn't really go quite that far, but I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like I get a lot of like mech anime vibes from the setting. Like I feel like the apocalyptic Tokyo-esque thing is pretty popular. So
What's the iconic mech anime? Would it be Gundam?
like Gundam. Evangelion
Lagann.
has mechs. Gurren Lagann has
Gurren
mechs.
Lagann has mechs?
Gurren Lagann has.
Isn't that what Mary Kish named her dog after?
Yes.
A character from that?
Yeah,
Isn't
from
the
Gurren
character a
Lagann.
mech?
No,
it's the main character who drives.
No,
the
she
mech.
named her dog Simone because the character is Simone the Digger. He digs and dogs.
Oh.
Yeah.
Josh Shaw's in our Twitch chat right now, former GameSpot employee. He says, I have a question for Rob. Rob, where's the last Jedi trailer you promised me? Why'd you promise him? Why are you in charge of that?
Wait, what?
Yeah, that's what he said.
I saw this on Twitter.
Was it today?
Do you remember when Rob tweeted about it and then Disney told him to take that tweet down?
Yeah. For those who don't know,
Wait, what? Where was I? He's
a lot of
kidding.
drama happened.
Wait, was that? I had lost track of that date. Was it supposed to be today?
I
Today
literally
is-
saw a
It was
tweet.
It was Monday Night Football.
Today's the 20th.
Yeah, it's not here yet. I
Yeah,
don't know.
right?
Josh Shaw's You said you tweeted in all caps.
Yeah, but it was Monday Night
It was
Football.
a screenshot of a Mark Hamill tweet teasing something for September 19th.
No, it was October.
No, it's October.
Just kidding.
But anyway,
It was October.
I almost had it.
Okay, Jesus. Anyways, Mark Hamill, he tweeted something and then deleted it. And then his response was like, it was a joke. It was like an inside joke on like the two teams who were playing. It was like the Bears and Vikings or something like that.
84 Jester X in the YouTube chat saying next week, Monday Night Football. Next week is the 29th. No, so wow, I'm way off. 25th is Monday. And then the
Alright.
week after
thought
that
it
would
was
be
October.
7 days from then.
There was another
And then
rumor on
7
that
days
day.
from there.
It's
Maybe that's what it
dude.
was.
Okay.
Disney is really
So,
good
thanks-
at
thanks-
blurring all the lines and like just like I think they even have a team. No, they seriously have a team that is devoted to like trolling the internet and like screwing with like rumors and stuff like that.
What a
Thank you to
job.
Josh Shaw and the Twitch team for derailing our conversation. I didn't really do much to stop it. There's a new trailer for Shadow of the Colossus, the PS4 remake, which I'm pretty pumped for. Has everybody here? No, you were saying you're pretty pumped for this because you've
Not played it.
nice.
I've also not played it, so I'm very
Whoa.
excited.
this I'm not. I'm
cool
not.
kids over here then.
Yeah.
We
Yeah.
played it.
Wow, I'm sorry.
I'm not like alone in it, but it's one of my favorite games. Although going back on PS3, the controls are one thing that you're constantly battling. I would say like it's supposed to be kind of tenuous when you're climbing
Right.
on the I almost said Titans on the Colossi, but it feels janky. So I'm hoping with PS4 kind of a lot of the PS4 remakes are coming out like Resident Evils. Those are different. Those are tank controls, but I'm hoping maybe they'll refine some of the mechanics in
Yeah,
this game because
as
that would
long
make
as
it awesome.
They just got to strike that balance where they don't go too far and it makes the game less difficult.
Yeah.
Like, there's that really fine balance, and I do think they could update it. They just can't go too far with it.
Well, yeah, and there's also like designed difficulty versus difficulty by nature of like jankiness. So like it can still be difficult without being frustrating and unfair.
No, totally, yeah.
But I'm really excited about like classic favorite games getting remixed because a lot of those games came out at a time where I didn't have time to play a lot of games, and so I'm super pumped about it. And I know a lot of people like to revisit these games, but I think it's cool that it's like, oh, here's an updated version of something that maybe you didn't have a chance to check out.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to playing that again for, I don't know, maybe the 5th time. It'd be fun to stream because I have a favorite Colossus. I would say it's the bird on the lake.
Oh,
Jump
okay.
up and grab his. Well, I won't.
Yeah,
spoil,
that
spoil
one.
Mine's the desert one. I like the desert one.
Oh yeah, that one's great too.
That game's
Yeah, that's a
fantastic.
pretty good one.
Love that one.
It's okay.
So, Cygames announced Zone of the Enders Anubis Mars, which is a VR game for PS4 and PC, and it's a redone version of the Zone of the Enders, the second runner on PS3. So it's like the second Zone of the Enders. Eric Tay was kind of wondering whether that would make him nauseous because Zone of the Enders, as you can see if you're watching this right now,
Right.
as a character-ish or as an action game is kind of frantic.
I'm
say the
already feeling like I would get super sick playing this.
Probably.
It's
And
like
also, I've never heard of Zone of the Enders, so. I'm
Or like
little
Doom.
what is it? Oh yeah, Doom in VR is the same thing where I'm like,
Right.
I want to play that
You don't
in
know
VR.
what Zone of the Enders is?
No.
By
It's
Kojima.
Harrison Ford's
Oh.
in it. That kid controls things. Just kidding. That's Enders.
God damn
That's
it.
it, yeah.
Yeah, Kojima. Did he do most of them?
Yeah, Zone of the Enders is probably most famous for, if you got it, it came with the demo for Metal Gear Solid 2.
Yep.
So everyone got it for that.
Gotcha.
Imagine if they still did that these days. Imagine if like
What's the last one? Crackdown?
Battleborn came with a Crackdown 3 demo. Or no, you're talking about Crackdown, the last demo.
The Crackdown came with the beta code for Halo 3. I'm saying
That's what
I
it
think
was,
that's maybe
yeah.
the last example I can think of. That's
Right.
That's it.
there was something else with Halo with the beta though, wasn't there? Wasn't that another one?
That was the Halo 3 beta with.
Didn't they do
But-
it again? I thought. Or am I?
Maybe they
for
did
like
it again.
4.
If you
But,
bought
like,
a bag
that's
of
why-
Doritos, you could play Halo 4 beta. I'm kidding.
I feel like now it's
I
just
think-
that sounds
I think I'm
possible.
kidding.
yeah, now it's just like they give out codes or it's a pre-order. It's not
Right.
real.
If you crush a
Never
Red Bull,
mind.
there's a code at the bottom that gives you access to
I've done
Destiny 3.
But so that's why a lot of people have heard of it. Then is that what you were saying?
I'm saying that's like that was probably people's like first
Like a big
experience
experience
with
with
it.
it,
Like
for
a lot of people kind of seeked it out because of Metal Gear, but it definitely has its like hardcore fans that love that game.
Monster Hunter World release date was announced. January 26th of next year, 2018, on PS4, Xbox One, and then the PC version will follow at a later date, which, as of yesterday when I was writing this, they have not announced. Maybe it's because 2017 has been conditioning me to try so many new kinds of games, but I kind of want to try this because I don't really traditionally play Monster Hunter games. I played Monster Hunter 3 for like 5 hours, which of course is nothing. That's like playing Dota 2 for 20 hours.
Yeah.
I want to try this just because I know how hardcore Monster Hunter fans are, and I would love to start getting why they love these games so much. And maybe this would be a good opportunity because January, like Tay was saying, it's kind of dead right now in terms of releases. You got Far Cry 5 in February, but Tay was comparing it to that Neo release date earlier this year, where they had kind of have that weird window to kind of, be the only game releasing as of now. So I don't know. Do you play Monster Hunter, Jean-Luc? I feel like
No, but
might.
my friend has been trying to get me to play it for years.
I think Jake is the only person in the office who really plays Monster Hunter.
But the reason, part of it's the commitment, but the other part was when he was trying to get me to play them, there was the 3DS ones, and I was just like, I don't really want to, I don't know, that's just not really what I'm interested in playing that kind of game on a 3DS. But having it on like the PC or PlayStation 4 definitely seems more appealing than that thing.
I saw
what the?
people on Twitter calling that the Traveler, which I thought was really funny.
That's really funny.
This is actually, I think, kind of the game that I would rather play on 3DS. But
Really?
yeah, but also I'm weird and I just like handhelds. But I am excited. I mean, it looks gorgeous, and the monsters, like the monster design, is always fantastic. And yeah, this is another game that I think like I should like. I think I would like it. I just haven't tried it because it is kind of an intimidating idea, but there's cute cats in it, so.
There's like the Destiny idea, right? This like daily grind that you get into, and kind of like you start calling it chores.
I feel like I only have time in my life for Animal Crossing and one other game like that.
Stardew Valley.
No, Stardew Valley you don't have to do every day, but
No.
I like Animal Crossing is a game that I will, regardless of what I'm doing, I'll play every day, right? But like, and right now I'm doing Destiny, and so I just don't know how many games I can fit into my schedule. But I definitely want to try it. I've played very little Monster Hunter, and it always feels good to play. And like I said, the monster design is super cool. So if you're into monsters.
And I liked some of the footage I saw of like just like the ecosystem of like, there's always a bigger fish type of thing where it's like you just to kind of explore and watch like these giant, like there's one who was like this like iguana looking thing and just swallowed another monster whole.
Yeah.
It was like,
It's
well, that was
sick.
pretty neat.
Yeah.
like,
Just
giant
Matt
thing.
Pageant got to play it at PAX, and I was like watching him play a little bit, and he's like, I don't remember what they were fighting, but he's just fighting. It looks like a massive like dinosaur type creature, and as they're fighting, like another one just shows up, and he's just watching them
Right.
fight each other as he's just kind of sitting there underneath, and he's like,
Just like, oh,
okay, well, I guess try and hit it, and then one of them like hits him with the tail, and he goes flying off this waterfall, and he has to climb all the way back up.
Oh man.
And
Didn't have his Zora armor with him either.
No, and it couldn't get back up. And I don't know, stuff like that just seems like really cool.
Yeah.
Where you're just watching like these massive creatures like fight each other, and you're just kind of this little dude in the middle of it all.
yeah. Like if you ever, like, I don't know if you guys are the type of weird that I am, where I'll like look at charts of like ancient animals compared to like the size of a person. It'll be like giant sloth, and it'll have like a tiny person next to it. And I'll be
Totally.
like, that's crazy. It's so big. Like I just,
Like a megalodon, right?
yeah. Like I love thinking about like, wow, that animal's so big. It's really really stupid saying it out loud, but that's kind of the sense that I'm getting from that idea of just like, I am nothing in this world,
Right.
but I still have the power to fight these and hunt these giant monsters.
I
Yeah.
never
like,
took you for a Stardew Valley casual, Callie. We do have a giveaway today that we will get to at the end of the show. Sorry, I
You're
just
just waiting for
I didn't
that.
have,
He's
I
been
didn't have a
sitting on
segue,
that.
so I figured I'd insult you. No, I don't like that game. Okay, Pokken Tournament DX. I didn't play Pokken on Wii U. I like Pokemon, and I like fighting games a lot more in recent years, so this seemed like a good time to try it out, and I tried it out. A few new features, new characters, the Decidueye you can use.
what's that?
It's the owl that's...
It's the turtle
he has-
with the cannons on its shoulders.
Oh yeah.
I'm kidding. Sorry. I'm done.
Oh,
Callie, what is it?
He's an owl that has a bow and arrow
Oh, okay.
from Sun and Moon.
Yeah. He's cool. And he's fun to play. He's fun to play.
Look so sad. Keep your chin up. That's fine.
So it was actually cool at PAX. We got to, I think this might be the footage.
It is.
Yeah, we had 2 pro players check out the new characters. So they added Decidueye. They added there's, I think, Incineroar. They added, like, I think 4 new ones to Pokken Tournament DX. And it was cool because, like, one of the things that's interesting about Pokken, and this is what Matt Pageant kept bringing up, he was really annoyed that it's not more fighting type Pokemon. He's like, why isn't Hitmonchan in this game?
Boot tops.
And like Harada, who was involved in the production, was saying that like that would be too obvious, that it'd be cool to showcase what other Pokemon can do without falling into that like, oh, it's a fighting type and it knows fighting type moves. So there's a lot of interesting things, and there's like some characters that have weird like void attacks, and they have interesting supers, and it sort of mixes like it's a 3D fighting game. It's it's Pokemon and Tekken, but it's kind of has a unique flavor to it. And then it has these like anime style supers that are really cool to watch if you play like a Dragon Ball fighting game or a Naruto fighting game. They kind of do like these zoom out, like cinematic, like the Pokemon does this cool crash into the ground stuff.
Cool.
You can see here on the right side, if you're watching it, they added Poplio and Litten as support characters, so that's kind of an ability, or that's kind of something you build up throughout the match and then use it. Some have different attacks, some have these long range attacks. And then arcade characters. Tell me if I'm pronouncing any of these wrong. Scizor?
Scizor.
Doesn't he say Scizor?
He might, but that's because Japanese doesn't have a S sound.
Okay, so Scizor.
Yeah.
Darkrai. Yep. Empoleon. And Krogunk.
Yes.
Yep. Cool. They are also there in the arcade mode.
All names I want to give my
daily
firstborn.
challenge.
Oh yeah. So I was wrong about Incineroar. They had it Litten. That was
Daily challenge fights. If you want to keep playing it.
Also,
daily.
Krogunk owns. I love Krogunk.
Krogunk's the third evolution of.
Krogunk is actually an unevolved Pokemon, and it's poison fighting type.
Oh, but
It's this dude. It's a
introduced in
frog
X and
dude.
Y?
So is that the gunk?
No, Krogunk I think is from Diamond and Pearl. I can't quite remember,
He's
but
third or fourth.
he's on third.
He's not third?
Wait.
Okay.
Yeah, I sometimes get those middle generations mixed up, but he's a poison fighting type, and I love poison types, and there's like no poison types that you can use, and he evolves into Toxicroak. But they went with Krogunk, which I thought was interesting, because he's a lot cuter than Toxicroak.
Yeah, and I was telling, who was I telling? Oh, we were doing like a reboot episode yesterday, Jake and I was saying, when that first reveal trailer for the Switch came out, and they showed people like crowding around just the screen playing with the Joy-Cons, I was like, that's never gonna happen. That's bullshit. I did it with this game the other day, playing with some in the office, and actually, it's not the ideal way to play, but I was like, I kind of see how the appeal to this. There's like no TV around.
That's cool.
We're in the park trying to enjoy nature, and then no, let's fucking play some Pokken.
Totally one of those kids that brought the Game Boy to the park, so I feel that.
Right.
So you can just say you went outside. And
Hey, you get vitamin D either way.
Do you think? Because that was a big thing for me in I remember elementary school, like at the playground.
I brought Pokemon to recess,
you'd bring your Game Boy out.
100%
and
brought
play
my-
that. Do
yeah.
you think kids are doing that with like Switches?
No, they do cocaine now at recess.
Oh, okay. Behind the swing set.
That's good. That's a good point. Though. I would rock the Switch at recess every day.
I would 100% do that. I feel like a Switch is maybe a little more fragile than an original Game Boy.
I would not let my kid
I probably
that
wouldn't let my kid.
Right,
Switch
yeah,
if I
that
bought
thing
him.
would get
I'd be like,
swiped.
no, dude.
I would
It'd
let
get
my-
swiped, it get cracked. Like, no.
I would let my
it's
kid
mine.
bring a 3DS maybe because they are a little more sturdy.
Sure, they definitely bring.
And there's actually you can recover your data on a 3DS unlike a Switch currently.
Yeah.
But
Like,
but
no,
yeah,
dude.
I like that idea of. I mean, you're enjoying nature, but the real thing is you get a little sunlight, you get some vitamin D, and you play some Pokken.
Or like on a flight next to your friend.
Yeah, or even like if somebody else is using the TV, like
That's
there's a lot of-
Decidueye right there on the left, Rob.
Me and my girlfriend were at the IKEA. We were waiting for a lift home, and it was like 20 minutes. So I just like pulled out my Switch. It was in my backpack.
Wait, okay, really quickly. Did you have furniture with you
No.
to put in the lift, or you just went to IKEA for fun?
No, he got the Switch at IKEA.
We got some.
like
a desk
smaller
and,
stuff,
Yeah, we got
yeah.
like a desk and stuff.
Yeah.
We just.
I
pulled out
love
and played,
IKEA.
Overcooked. And that was actually like
yeah.
perfect. So we were just played a couple rounds of that.
Is that running better?
I don't know. When I got it, when I was playing it, it was not.
Getting into
That was right when it came out, so it was not running amazing. But it was still running well enough that we could play it and enjoy it. I don't know if it's been fixed though.
You and
I
I,
hope
Rob,
so.
yesterday were talking about how some games feel better handheld. Like the Switch is the ideal way to play a lot of games. Like I love playing Zelda handheld. I'm kind of nervous about how I'm going to feel about handheld with Doom and Wolfenstein and shooters because the balance in the controllers in there, it's such a wide, it's not as bad as the Wii U or anything, but it's such a wide kind of center of gravity for your hands, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I'll say about Pokken DX. It doesn't really play that well handheld.
Okay.
Because it's such a, it's a fighting game, so you're worried about your combos, and it's not like you're not like rotating your sticks for moves. It's very much like this direction or that direction plus a button. It's like, like Tekken is the obvious example, but it's like a much more complicated Smash Bros, I guess, if you play that a lot.
Yeah, you want that precision and like the yeah, you don't have to be worrying about holding the entire Switch, I guess.
But with like a Pro controller or the regular like cradle for the Joy-Cons, it feels good.
It's fine. Yeah, like you think I think about like with Breath of the Wild, like handheld, the biggest frustration. I mean, the motions is one part of that game too. Oh my god! But like the aiming down with a bow, like aiming and like
I
finessing.
liked that.
Handheld?
Yeah.
I would have like I feel like I would always be off or like I don't know. Precision. I feel like with the Pro controller is just like so much more better. But like with
It's
handheld,
definitely better
I don't know.
on-
But then I mean, whenever I'm firing a bow in Zelda, I'm not necessarily moving all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You think about something like Doom, which is like my fear, or like any kind of first person shooter is like, how is that going to be when you're also moving and lining up it's a ballet. That's what Doom is, right? Like
Yeah, I
that-
mean, it depends. I think Splatoon plays way better with motion,
Right.
Because that game you're constantly moving and then also managing your aim, and so I think it does work pretty seamlessly. I don't know how a port will do that though. You have to vary a game that wasn't made for that. How do you adapt that?
right. Like
I
when-
would just rather play that not motion,
like
obviously.
when you're incorporating like headshots, like super ultra
Yeah.
precise stuff
Yeah.
is like a fear I have, but we'll see.
So Pokken Tournament DX is out now as of this Friday, September 22nd, on Nintendo Switch. So if you pick that up, if you wanna, are you guys planning on it or no? Did you play it on Wii U much?
No, not really.
No?
It's not my jam.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fighting game person.
I just played like 6 rounds of Blaziken yesterday. Did I pronounce?
Blaziken rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then it took me. I was playing X and Y, and I loved X and Y. It took me maybe 2 weeks before I realized that he was a chicken. And then the name made sense, and then I
Yeah.
felt stupid.
Well, no, that happens to me too. Like it took me a really long time. I'm probably like the ones where I was younger, where I'd be like, "Oh, squirt turtle." Got it.
I thought it was
Squirtle.
it was way less sexual than I thought.
Yeah, I didn't. That was a bad example because of
Ekans.
it's just snake
Just
backwards.
think backwards.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the clef key? Is that just?
What's just a set of keys?
Yeah. Where's the clef come from?
I don't know.
It's just very handsome. It's got that chin.
Kleptomaniac keys, I think.
Yeah. So Pokken Tournament DX. If you didn't play on the Wii U, I would encourage you to pick it up on the Switch. I like it a lot. Been reading other places people are feeling the same again because I wasn't super into Nintendo during the Wii U years, aside from a few fantastic games. But now that the Switch is kind of like my favorite console, it was nice to get into that. So this game, Echo, Rob, former IO Interactive employees of who made Hitman. How many years ago? 2, 3, 2 years.
What, last Hitman?
Hitman.
That came out last year.
That was last year?
Yeah.
Damn. Okay, cool.
Do you remember your Game of the Year? I was rooting for it.
Yeah, I
remember
guess.
that talk?
I could have sworn that was 2 years ago. But anyway, former IO Interactive employees from it's the studio Ultra.
It's their first game.
Copenhagen. Their first game as an indie studio. They made Echo, and it's not getting, according to Rob, as much press as it deserves. And Rob's been playing it a lot, and he's been trying to get me to play it, and I wanted to, but had been a busy week. But
I'm really trying to get a lot, if not everyone in the world, to play this game.
So-
I just want to hear more about it because I have my own, my own opinion. But I want to. I kind of scoured Reddit. This just came out yesterday. I looked on Reddit. I looked around. I'm seeing some talk about it, and
it's on
seems,
PC right now, PS4 not yet.
Oh, it's not out on PS4 yet.
No.
I thought they were.
When is it coming to PS4?
Let me look that
that's
up
a good
while Rob.
question.
Because I definitely want to play it, but like you came up to me and you were like, "Do you want a code?" And I was like, "Absolutely," but I have no time this week, which
Yeah,
is so
everyone-
unfortunate for this game.
It's been a hell of a year, so it's like understandable. But I don't know. Like I would expect more people to know about this game because anyways. For those of you who do not know what Echo is,
Sorry, to clarify really quick, not to derail you. It says that it should be out on PS4, but I searched it today, did not find
I
it.
was under the I thought it was
Maybe
both
Echo is just
platforms
like
today.
obviously like in the search, so many things showed up with Echo, but there was no Echo game anyway.
But,
Yeah.
So what is it?
So what is this game? It's a third-person stealth game. It's got a lot of sci-fi horror, but nothing that's I would say should steer anyone who is say like afraid of like that genre. Super heavy sci-fi though. The premise is that you are this character named N, who is also the character from Game of Thrones, voiced by what's her name in character?
Egret.
Egret, the redhead.
Jon Snow.
That's what,
The
Rose
Scottish.
Leslie.
Yes. So, how to explain this? So you reside in this place called the Palace, and it's a stealth game at heart where you have objectives like get from A to B, among other things. But what you're dealing with is the enemy, and the tagline for this game is like the enemy is you. In that, the game goes through cycles. So you have your light cycle and your dark cycle. A light cycle, you move around, and anything you do in that or during that cycle, say vaulting over a table, sprinting, shooting, anything, the game remembers it. It hits a blackout period. I'll talk about that later. And then when the next light cycle starts, everything you did in the previous one is incorporated into these characters called echoes, which are basically replicants of yourself. And there are a whole bunch of them. And they will do basically what you were doing the previous cycle. So you really are like playing against yourself. So the more I play this game, the more I love, because the game also has pretty great map design and with that a puzzle element of like you're limited to different things. So say I'll give you an encounter that I think was one of my favorites. When I enter in a room, and in this room are 2 cages filled with echoes. They're just looking at me. They're unable to escape. There are doors, but they're unable to walk out. I'm like, okay, fine. So I keep walking down, and they're following with me within this hallway, the 2 cages on both left and right side. And I noticed that the light cycle is about to end. But what I had just done is open a door. You begin to realize, oh my God, when the next cycle starts, all of these echoes
they know how to
open doors, and they're going to chase you and kill you immediately. So it's time and time again, you find yourself in these puzzles that seem to be easy on face value, but then they're just like, they're extremely difficult. I was on one last night that took me like about an hour to get through, and it was fun.
Oh, that's so cool.
It is so cool.
It makes you want to play reserved in the light cycle, because Eric Green in the YouTube chat was just saying, so what if you didn't shoot or run? Ostensibly, they wouldn't be able to shoot or sprint the next round.
It's a good question. So this is what I eventually began to realize, that the light cycles are not determined, the length are not determined on time, but information. So
it's how much information they gather from you?
From you. So if I'm crouching, it'll only remember a few instances. So they kind of amount. So like if I went crazy and I just went around shooting, vaulting, eating grapes, playing the piano.
You can eat grapes and play the piano?
Yeah, so you can create distractions. So there's one area. Yeah, there's one where you can play a piano.
I thought you were kidding. That's
no,
so cool.
You can play the piano, and the next time, it's so eerie. The echoes are like, you just hear in the distance they're playing the piano because that's what you were doing. It is really cool as far as like the horror elements of like what they do. Like for instance, if I cross water is one of them. So like I'll enter a room and there's like a moat around them, and they're just looking at the water and they're looking at you, and they see you because they detect you, and they just are like waiting. And so this was a really crazy part.
Oh, they're so creepy.
They're really creepy. So another interesting part is during the blackout cycle. During the blackout cycle, anything goes. The palace is not remembering. So that's where you can make dashes and moves, like shoot. It's really where I find myself shooting the most is during these.
That's when you have like a flashlight activated, or
right.
Is it like literally blackout?
It's literally blackout. You'll see it in a little bit. It was about to happen there. And that right there on the left was the only time. So the save points are really few and far between, which is fine because it really generates that sense of like fear of basically restarting. That you could argue both ways against that, but I like it. I like having that weight of like, oh my God, this is like my last ditch effort. I'm out of ammo. So
absolutely.
Yeah. So again, anything goes during the blackout period. So that's where you're making moves or like desperate kind of risk reward factors. So right here, the thing though about the blackouts is that like, oh man, it's really hard to see. So like you'll find time and time again yourself forgetting what you did in the previous light cycle. So there was one time I was just sprinting like a madman. So during the blackout, it still carries over. So I was just like, oh yeah, this echo behind me, she's like, really far away, no problem. And I turn around and she's in a full-on sprint about to grab me. So the other part too is that your health is really low and your stamina is really low as well. So they grab you once, you'll see it, there's like a button mash prompt, and you push them away, and then your HUD basically turns red right there a little bit. Mm-hmm. If they touch you again, you're dead.
Oh, Dang.
Yeah,
So
and
it's
if-
like straight up. It's almost like survival stealth.
Totally.
Like,
There's a lot of
very very harsh.
There are some horror elements too, especially in the intro. Rob, you were kind of watching me play.
Yeah.
It's a slow burn, but Ben Janka here on a GameSpot team was saying he was surprised with how they played up the horror aspect, and I agree because I was watching you play. I was like, that's kind of creepy, and really like the uncanniness of them attacking you is weird. But they definitely play that up at the beginning at least, and I would imagine it watching gameplay and just inherently kind of follows through the rest of the game.
For sure. And then, again, it's just, and so we had a reviewer. I forget who reviewed it, to be honest.
Was it Justin Clark?
Yes, that's right. He brought up a good point as far as like any kind of gripes would there be with this game. I personally have been okay with it, but I have not finished it. But this was one of my fears coming in, was that you are, for the most part, in this palace, and it does look the same for the most part throughout your plays. But I think he beat it in 7 hours. What I would say though is that the palace is changing. Like, yeah, you're getting the same architecture, but I would say without spoiling, like there's a character within the palace that's really fascinating as you progress. Very much in the same light of like these characters learning. So here it is. So if I get touched again, I'm done, and that's what happens.
Yep.
If there's the other thing too is, so how many of these echoes is the frightening part. So like you go into a room and you just see about 12 of them. You're like, oh my god, this sucks, because all it takes is 3 of them to be near you if you're at full health to take you down. Like 2 you can manage, but any more is like difficult. Yeah, I don't know. I can't speak.
It's got me hooked. Just for anyone just joining, we're talking about Echo from former IO Interactive developers of Hitman. To clarify, Felipe Aydar in the Twitch chat was asking if IO Interactive still exists. Yeah, they do. They regained the rights to Hitman in 2017 from Square Enix after they bought it from Eidos Interactive, but now IO Interactive is independent and doing Hitman stuff, presumably in the future. But a few people broke off also in Copenhagen to do Echo. So you can kind of get a sense of their portfolio and what their pedigree is.
I have a question for you, Mike. There is, I feel like one of the things also when we saw the preview when they came to the office, they just showed us like one little level in the palace with no voiceover or story really in it. Yet he was adamant saying, "Oh, there is a story." Like, do you think so far it's been an engaging and understandable story for you? Like,
yeah, the one gripe I'll have is the beginning is kind of more of a slow burn than I would like. I mean, I don't know. It's such a unfair game to compare it to, but like Breath of the Wild, you're just immediately into it. And so many games I played this year, I'm immediately into it. But it makes sense within the world because they're kind of showing you in the gameplay that your actions are going to have consequences. And the story I'm hearing through this AI character, London, I think.
Yeah.
His voice actor sounds like Sean Bean, like weirdly, but it's not.
He does a lot of work. I forgot his name, but he's
in Hellblade, right?
He did Hellblade, and he's got like a pretty good list on IMDb of video games.
But yeah, to answer your question, I think it's doing that Gears of War thing where anytime he's talking to you, it slows you down to a trot.
Yeah,
not that I'm a horse, but
yeah, I think yeah, you're right. I was frustrated with that as well because it is a slow burn until you get into the palace where like all the footage you really just saw is like, that's the meat of the game. That's where you want to get to.
In terms of setting up the vibe and the atmosphere, it's a very good intro.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've found that I've been a lot less patient with longer intros lately. Probably because I have so many games to get to. But like,
Right.
I think about like something like The Witcher 3, where it's like sometimes like that game took me a long time to get going. Or like even Danganronpa 3, like the first chapter is like 6 hours, and there's reasons for that. But it's like part of me is just kind of too impatient lately, and I don't know. Like I'm just waiting for the hook.
Right.
I don't know if that's just like I'm old and jaded and tired of stuff, or I don't know.
I will say like the slow burn there's a payoff, and I think Ben, again, I've just been trying to get people to play this so I can talk about it, but I finally was able to talk about one thing I thought was somewhat spoilery, but so freaking cool. I won't spoil it, but like the setup to like where like it's a really cool setup, and it builds, and you just start seeing like, oh my god, this is ramping up really nicely. I can't speak without spoiling it, so I won't.
I'm gonna throw a wrench in the cogs. What if you just like you go into the light section, the first one, when they're kind of learning from you, and you just love them? Next turn, they're just gonna come up and just, hey man.
I was also thinking, can you like make out with them and then teach them to make out?
A lot of people in both YouTube and Twitch chats, when they grab you, it looks like they're like, why are they trying so hard to make out with you?
Yeah. But they're not human. They just want to like crush your face.
It's the palace
horror.
like manifest, right? Trying to kill you, or I would assume.
Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
Ben
yeah.
Jank was just saying it took him around an hour to get to the first like light puzzle room.
There's a reward factor to like the rhyme and reason for these things. It's like the more I play this game, I keep continually having these like oh or like oh my god moments where like another again setup was like this huge like in the palace, just like what we call like a light well or like a terrace. I don't know, with series like the only way to get down is by vaulting over railings. Mm-hmm.
But
But you look down and you see all these like maybe like a dozen floors, and there's just all these echoes and they're just looking at you. But then you start realizing, oh, once I start vaulting, once the next light cycle happens, they're going to be vaulting down. And sure enough, that happens. So it's like you're just rushing to get down because you know as the audio ramps up and builds and swells that something's going to happen and you need to be long gone out of there.
I'm just imagining what if that happened in real life and you had replicants of yourself chasing you, and so like when the light was on, you had to hand them like Nintendo Switches, and then the next round you just get a shit ton of them.
Okay.
Or just like hand them money.
Cook them dinner, money.
No, just hand them a 20, and
Possibility
they
to
all
handle.
have to give you a 20 after that.
Or like I would go
It's
into
an investment.
you know what I do? I would like go into your house and like break a couple dishes and then like lock the door and leave.
And then all of your replicants are
in
gonna
there.
wake up. There's just 16 Rob Handlers rooting through my cupboards. Get out of my house, Rob. And Rob.
God.
Rob did it again. We need to stop doing this, Rob.
Yeah.
Or conversely, you clean your dishes, and then they'll just do all that. You go home and you're like, oh, my house is spotless.
Now this sounds like Mr. Meeseeks or something, right?
Yeah.
It's just like
Yeah. So there's a lot of comedic potential, but they didn't go that route. They went horror,
no,
which
they
is
did
cool.
not.
Yeah, Echo. It is out. It's definitely out on PC. Apparently, it's out on PS4 now, according to every page I just looked at. It's like I said, former IO Interactive Hitman makers. IO Interactive still does exist and has the rights to Hitman as an independent studio. But go check that out. It's $25, although it was down to $21 today on some sort of sale.
so worth it.
Yeah, Pete and Rob have been talking about it a lot, and I definitely want to play more. There was a slow burn at the beginning, but push past it because everything I've seen Rob play looks really fun.
Like, and I'm already thinking like, one, I would like to see this game streamed, but two, there is a difficulty ramp up. Like as I'm playing, I'm like, damn, I actually kind of want to see what this is like on its like hardest. So I think there is a replayability factor there that is worth checking out.
Dang.
Yeah.
I'm sold.
Jean-Luc, you beat Dishonored: Death of the Outsider, the standalone DLC from Arcane Studios.
Yep.
Their European office over in. Why am I blanking on this? I did a whole
Leon?
documentary series. Thank you, Leon. They released this standalone DLC last Friday.
Yep.
And you beat it over the weekend, played through it. There's, 5 discrete missions?
Yeah, there's 5 missions. It can depend how long you take it. If you like, you could probably like rush through it, like kind of mainline it, and it'll take you maybe like 5-6 hours. But there's also like the big new thing in this one is there are like contracts and stuff you can do, which add these like extra little like kind of bonus objectives that you can do to earn extra cash, which is very thief-like.
I wish Dishonored 2 had that system. There were side quests in Dishonored 2 that you could do, but I feel like it's structured much better in this. In a way I didn't find Dishonored 2.
It gets you to think about levels differently, where you're like I was like, okay, I would end up going inside like buildings that like there was no reason to go into before, or that I never found myself going into, and it's like, oh, I need to go over there to find this person. And sometimes it's like kill a dude, but other times it's like you got to make this mime look like he committed suicide. So you got to like knock him out, and then you got to like take him
A
over
lot
to
going
this
on
like
with that.
Yeah.
where people like
I'm in the process of doing
commit
this one.
suicide. And you got to like throw him off of it, and no one can see you do
Yeah,
it.
it's a famous suicide site in Karnaka
Yeah.
or whatever. You're not in Dunwall yet.
No, this is
You're in
Karnaka. This is
yeah.
Karnaka.
And they're just like, but reading just like Dishonored 2 and Prey, both from Arcane and everything they've done, it does a good job of contextualizing all the quests. So like you just said, without just straight up telling you the objectives, although you have journal entries, but you'll be like, oh, I think I might know how to do this, and then there are, alternate paths to get there. But you're playing as Billy Lurk, right? What's she all about?
Yeah, so Billy was a character from 2. Megan Foster was like the kind of the alias she was going under. She like ran the ship, the Dreadful Whale, which is which is like the hub area in 2. And her whole backstory is that she used to be an assassin for Dowd, who is the assassin who murdered the Empress in the original game, and you actually played as him in a DLC, which were very good DLCs, by the way. If no one's ever played the Knife of Dunwall DLC, it's like absolutely fantastic. And this kind of feels like it's more, in a way, almost like a sequel to that game as well, where it's like continuing off of like
That's cool.
that idea. And so they do a lot of interesting things by her being an assassin. So they like, yeah, you can, because you get amber from it. It gives you sweet money.
Because I burned the dog for that contract.
Yeah, but if bloatflies, if you kill guys who have bloatflies in them, you get
okay.
blood amber, and then it gets you money.
Okay.
But no, because she's an assassin, they got rid of the karma system. Like that's just not a thing in this game,
Right.
which is really really cool because that was sort of always a big complaint I had with Dishonored was that the game's very much about experimentation, but it punishes you from a story perspective for doing it. And it's like an interesting idea, but you're like, okay, I feel like I have to reload my save because I messed up and I want to get the good ending.
Dishonored 1 it didn't just punish you in terms of story. Like, the more people you killed, the more, like, dangerous rats there were, too, right?
Yeah.
That was punishment, too.
Yeah,
like,
that was cool. I actually like that part.
Yeah.
Like, that was neat because it's like, oh, you're killing more people, which spreads the disease, so there are more rats. Like, that was neat, but more, like, specifically the story stuff. Like, yeah, like I said, it's kind of hit or miss for me.
I like how you can talk to rats now.
Yeah, so that's a big thing. You can like talk to rats and they'll give you no, actually they're really gross. They're like, oh, blood, sweet blood, we want it, and you're like, ew.
That was not surprising. Like, all right, rat.
Whatever. But they'll actually give you hints to how to complete objectives, which is really cool. But yeah, so it makes a lot of sense to get rid of the karma system, and I feel like I have more freedom to experiment, and I didn't feel like I never felt that compulsion to necessarily like reload my save, where it's like, oh, I got caught. Because instead it was like, I got caught, but it's just this one guy, and if I'm quick enough, I can kill him and not alarm everyone. And I was able to do that and then keep going, and I felt like that was just... It felt a lot better to play that way. Like, the game still has... When you beat the mission, it still has, like, the checks, like, oh, did you do it all non-lethal? So for those who want that challenge, they can still absolutely do that, but the game doesn't feel like it's forcing you to be as compulsive about that in the other games, which I like a lot.
Do you have any favorite new abilities? I like Foresight. We talked about this.
Yeah,
Foresight's
so
super good.
Seems kind of... I think it's going to be hit or miss for some people. Alessandro in his review kind of talked about how he was a little disappointed that you get 3 new powers in the game at the beginning, but that's all you get. You don't get any new powers over the rest of the game. Compared
really?
to Dishonored 2, where it's like you got a ton of powers.
Yeah.
But you're putting like progression into the same.
No,
not at all.
There's no progression. It's just bone charms that you can, which are the little extra abilities.
And upgrading gear.
You can upgrade
Through
gear,
black
but
markets.
you aren't upgrading. There's no skill tree for the powers this time, and I think some people are gonna find that disappointing because they want to like get those new powers. But for me, when I think about the way I played Dishonored 1 and 2 is I would typically find those like several powers that I found the most useful, and I would just stick with them, and I would never use anything else. And so this game, I kind of like that. It just gives you 3 powers that are all very useful and specific, and I found myself constantly using all 3 powers as opposed to feeling like I just had these extra powers that I didn't use. So I kind of...
That's probably more manageable, right? And then because then you're really just thinking about, okay...
how can I maximize the use of this one power?
Yeah, instead of like me, where I would freak out about being like, am I choosing the right one, or should I invest in this
how
other
do
one?
I want to kill it? Like, there's so many options.
I didn't know Domino was in this game. I don't have it.
So that was me showing when you beat the game, you then can do a new game plus with Dishonored 2 powers. So you get Domino, you get
I don't have Domino,
and you get Dark Vision. But it's still only just the 3. It just kind of replaces the 3 other ones, which is neat. That's a cool replay value.
Yeah.
But I like Dark Vision. Like Dark Vision sucks now because Dark Vision from 1 and 2 was it's like the Batman vision. It's in every game, right? You can see through walls and see enemies. In this, you get Foresight, where you can basically you like astral project yourself out of your body, as Callie very much remembers from that one of the episode. Awesome. And you can like mark targets and all this stuff, and it just gives you way more like tactical freedom to like actually like experiment and be like, okay, I can like tag that guy, I can tag that guy, and kind of look around a corner and see what's going on. And like going back to like Dark Vision, I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I can see through a wall. Like that's cool, I guess.
I was gonna say it's like, it sounds far more manageable to like, okay, I got 3 powers, which I can like use on the fly. But
Right.
then you're also focusing, sounds like, more on like actual combat, right?
Yeah, combat and gadgets. You
Yeah.
get these like hook mines that like pull people towards them, and you can actually set them to be lethal or non-lethal, which is pretty cool. But so
Really mess with people, huh?
oh yeah, well, because it like pulls them, and you can like pull them, and then they're just like hanging from like a wall or something. You can also use it to like there's an achievement
And
apparently.
then you cut their head off. Right?
I did a lot of that. There's an achievement apparently. I haven't tried it yet for like you can use the hook mine to launch someone like 50 feet in the air. There's an achievement for it.
That sounds fun.
But yeah, just like having these powers and then using them in like more creative ways, like semblance, where you can steal someone's face and then like walk past guards.
Don't say that so matter of factly, you weirdo.
You can, like I found myself like experimenting with that particular power and thinking like, okay, like what are the how far can I push this one power? Like how far can I do that? As opposed
between semblance, you took his face off. I went to a wedding recently where Face Off was playing on a projector the entire reception.
I wonder whose wedding that was.
Yeah. Between semblance in Death of the Outsider and being an undead character in Divinity Original Sin 2, I am ripping so many faces this week. It's kind of become my MO. And we'll get to it in Divinity Original Sin 2. The undead characters scare people.
I feel like you were about to say ripping so many farts.
Oh, just ripping ass
I was
left
gonna
and
say
right.
fat clouds.
Also, two minor trivia. I think a lot of people know this that are like have played Dishonored a lot. The Dreadful Well, the name of the ship, is an anagram for Farewell Dowd.
Yeah, Harvey Smith told me that.
Yeah.
And I had no idea, and that's kind of cool.
And also Dowd, the character. Do you know who he's voiced by?
oh, I do, but I forgot.
Michael Madsen.
Yeah, Michael
Mr.
Madsen.
Blonde, like
Right.
Tarantino movies. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he
Anyway.
doesn't get much work anymore. Sorry.
Yeah, so Dishonored
bummer.
Death of the Outsider. It's really cool to see this come out after things like The Lost Legacy, these standalone DLCs, like AA size.
Right, yeah, for $30 is absolutely, I think, worth playing. I mean, it's also got like all that replay value. I was like messing with the game's custom difficulty, which was a thing they patched into 2, but they didn't patch it until like several months after that game came out, so I never went back and tried it.
Yeah, we showed a little bit of that menu earlier. You're
Yeah.
going to do a feature later in the week on that.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's when I have some more time, but I actually got to play it, and
Is
man,
it?
it gets real.
It's weird.
rough.
What are some of the things you can change? It's
Yeah, what-
bizarre.
You can change so much. So you can change like how loud your footsteps are. You can change like enemy perception. So you can see it's like, oh, they're more aware of like what's above them. So like just being above a dude is not going to necessarily
Right.
like you can change
Jesus.
things like how much your health regenerates, how quickly it regenerates. You can
Yeah, because that's also a major difference. There are no more.
how far you can lean, and then how much enemies can see when you're leaning. Like you can get really minute.
Really specific.
Very specific, and then you can also set like Iron Man mode, which is so you can set it to have a 1 save slot, and then you can do an Iron Man run, which is where the quick save does not work. It only saves at specific times, and then when you die, you it just wipes your save. And I got
I love that.
19 minutes in.
Great.
It was which is I got farther than I thought I would, and this was with me. I also turned everything on. So I set everything to the hardest it could possibly be and put on Iron Man.
I feel like if you
it
max,
was actually kind of cool.
I feel like if you maxed everything out, you like would take one step and then explode.
It's not that. It's actually not that.
Fair.
It wasn't as hard as I thought it would be. Like I was expecting it to be that, but it was definitely like there are things that I thought were like, oh yeah, I'll just like go over there and I could do that before.
Completely
and,
changes,
like immediately
yeah.
got caught. Like I was just like, oh, I can get this key really easily. And not only was the perception of the guard like way more keen, but it takes like there's that period where like they have this little bar. And it'll like, oh, they're kind of like looking for you, and then it goes to default like alert status. You can make that bar a lot shorter. So immediately was like, hey, you, I'm gonna kill you now. And I'm like, oh, shoot, okay, well. So I had no time, and I had to run away, and I died.
Damn, and using that like face-off ability sounds pretty imperative. for
Yes,
so many
definitely.
situations.
Like
Yeah,
you're
yeah.
way more reliant on powers. One of the things you could turn off was when you pull up the little like circular radial bar, you can set it so it no longer slows down time.
That
When you
sucks.
do it, yeah. So
That's
because
like-
I'm playing on PC, I was like, I had to use the hotkeys.
Right.
Like that's the only way to do it now, because that thing is useless.
That's cool, but that sucks. Stop it! Wait, Rob, stop! Time out. Hold on, wait. Where the fuck is Domino?
I can't imagine doing that on a controller. That'd be terrible.
Yeah.
I have a hard enough time wheeling through that thing when it does stop time. In Prey, I liked it was like a spiral because you got so many powers that you could like spiral through it. Speaking of, what was it like going back to like the Dishonored universe after playing Prey this year? Prey was is still probably one of my top 5 games personally.
Me too.
And
I love Prey.
and it was almost refreshing to go back to, rather than one big connected open world, it was refreshing to go back to where you have these discrete missions a la Dishonored 2, but of course in Dishonored 1 and Death of the Outsider. It kind of makes you, it's still like this sandbox thinking, but it's also like I know I could go in and play for an hour or hour and a half, beat a mission, and feel like I just really got everything out of that mission.
Like it compartmentalizes it, so you can sit down and say, like, I'm going to do this contract,
Yeah.
I'm going to do this mission, and it feels like, and I think this game, like more so than the others, just feels like it's designed more for experimentation. Like I felt like I had more freedom to just kind of like mess around than I did in the other games. So.
Yeah, when we did our series on Arcane Studios, I had a really interesting conversation with Harvey Smith. He was saying, based on like a lot of market research and playtesting, people, despite what you would think about like prices and complaining about lengths of games, many people today prefer games to be shorter. Like you were just saying, it actually kind of makes sense that something like this would have how many missions now? 5 instead of 12 in Dishonored 2. Dishonored 2 felt a little too long to me, as much as I loved it.
I think the length of this is perfect.
Right.
You know, and I thought the same about Lost Legacy. Like when that finished, I was like, oh wow, that was like, it took me exactly 6 hours, and everything about that game, like pacing and length, I was like, that was perfect. That was a good Saturday afternoon. Played that game, had a great time, and I felt totally satisfied with it.
Yeah, it's not to say that like Arcane won't keep making longer form games.
Right,
It's just funny to like see how many like comments and complaints are about, oh, I'm paying $30 for Hellblade. Why would I do that? But I was like, I really like those. Of course, I play a lot of games for work. I used to be one of those people who would, buy a few games a year and try to play a lot of those, which I miss that, but I'm also like, it's still awesome to play a lot of games, but that's why I like these more AA size experiences more.
There's a lot of games where like I don't want to leave yet, like there's games where I'm like, oh, I don't want it to be over because I'm enjoying it so much, but then I feel like that less and less the older I get too, because it's like I like having completed something and having felt like I got the full story and I got everything I could get out of it, and now I can move on to the next really cool thing. So like the fact that Echo, that you said I can beat that in 7 hours, is like, that's perfect because I want to experience this. But there's so many other things I want to do.
Yeah.
A lot of it for me has to do with like the way that games paced. Like I think some games can be like a 50-hour experience, but it's paced in such a way where it feels fine.
It has to be paced properly.
Like the
Breath
worst,
of the Wild is really good.
Right,
at
yeah.
it.
But then like the worst example I always think of was Alien Isolation for me. Like I love that game, but there was like a point in that game where I was like, okay, I'm kind of ready for this game to be over. Like I feel like it's sort of outworn its welcome in terms of like mechanics, and the stories just feels like it's really stretching itself. And then it went on for another like 5 hours, and I just remember those last 5 hours kind of being a real slog.
Just being like, oh my god, I want to have.
And it felt like they were like, no, we have to hit a certain benchmark so that we can justify the $60 price and people don't get mad. And I was like, oh man, like I would have really preferred to just be like this 7-8 hour experience instead.
The Phantom Pain dragged on way too long for me.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the key example I can think of right now. It's like, oh, there's another 8 hours. I'm going back through all these side missions I haven't been doing. So yeah, Dishonored Death of the Outsider is out as of now.
It's good.
Last Friday, I've gotten the chance to play 2 of the missions. I'm loving it so far.
Yeah. I do
Arcane
think
Studios do great work.
I do think it kind of falters at the end. Mission wise, I think the first half is sort of the peak, and the other half is not as good, but it's not bad by any means. It didn't end as strongly as I wanted it to.
Petco Panchov in the YouTube chat was quoting me, saying, people want a shorter game. Sorry, but we don't. If I have to pay full price for a game, I want a long experience. Yeah, maybe you don't, but I mean, like I said, this is from one of the more talented creative directors who does a lot of market research. And
but again, this is $30.
Yeah,
it's perfect.
Right. Yeah. That's why games like Hellblade that are lower priced for the time length are kind of a cool, hopefully emerging market.
I also I don't really think of it as far as like time and money, really, because that's like not. I'm not playing games just to spend time, like it's depends on what you get out. It's not like I'm not going to pay more for a 2-hour movie versus an hour 20-minute movie.
Everyone
it's the same thing.
Differently, but I guess the way I think about it is like, okay, well, I could have played, like, yes, if I was to put my like dollar, like the $60 I spent on Alien Isolation, if it was only 7 hours as opposed to that 15, like, yes, I technically, like, my dollar to time ratio was.
But then you said the last 5 hours are a slog.
Yeah,
you didn't
if
enjoy
I
that.
didn't enjoy those last 5 hours, then it's like, well, in that sense, I wasted 5 hours.
You
of
want
my
a game
time.
to respect
so,
your
like,
time.
I kind of wasted my money. Like, I don't know. That's how I view it.
I prefer quality over quantity almost every day. But yeah, Death of the Outsiders out. You can go read Alessandro here at GameSpot's review. Up on site now. You did the video over yesterday. Is that up?
Yep.
Cool. So that's on YouTube, GameSpot. You can go check those out. All right, cool. Divinity Original Sin 2. I almost said Divinity 2 again.
Don't say that.
Yep.
That's another game.
Yeah, Divinity Original Sin 2 from Larian Studios over in Belgium. The Belgian studio from Belgium. Also, one of the writers on the team is Kevin Van Ord, formerly before Pete Brown was reviewed here at GameSpot for how many years? Not 12? I don't know. It was a long time. So he worked on it, but Jean-Luc, you and I have been playing it. Rob, you've been kind of watching over our shoulders because of all the weird shit we're doing in that game.
You're just wearing a bucket.
I really like that game. Yeah, so I played a little bit of the first one, and I liked it a lot, but I never got into it because it was so dense. This one's even
more dense.
But somehow it's not overwhelming me yet because I've put maybe 8 hours into it, and I'm still in the first area. I know Dave Jewett over in our UK office spent like 16 hours
That was a cool character. Yeah. That looked so sick. That lizard.
They are cool.
Skeleton Man.
The customization.
Yeah, you can be
awesome.
a skeleton.
So
man.
I'm an
I want
undead.
to be a lizard.
Wait, I want to be a skeleton.
It's very cool, but it makes the game a little harder because you have to cover up your face, or most people will run from you.
So that's
how I
so
stand.
yesterday it was so funny. He's wearing, I'm like, what? Mike looking over his shoulder, like, why are you wearing a bucket? And he's like, so he's in the menu inventory, which is like full HUD, just like we can vaguely, there's a little bit less of an opacity, so you can kind of see this kid he was talking to. Mike goes to like remove the bucket. Kid immediately just starts running away. Just like imagine that in real life. Like, why are you wearing that bucket?
Yeah. So, Jean-Luc, you were saying so you could play co-op in this game, which is amazing because it's already.
It is
dense as hell, deep as hell. The emergent situations that come out of like that, figuring out how you can combine attacks and elemental stuff, but also just how you can combine characters in your party. Like sometimes you'll go up to this one character that this lizard companion that you have has beef with, and then he'll go up and talk to him and be like, yeah, go talk to him. I'll catch up with him later, and his attitude towards you will increase because if their attitude decreases too much towards you, they'll just leave the party forever. I have not seen that, but that can happen. And the lizard hates me, so I'm like, yes, please go talk to him. I don't want to lose you. You're my best fighter. But also, then a different character will go up and talk to that same character. She'll be like, I got to talk to him too. And all of a sudden, she'll be like, and it's like text from the narrator, be like, she promptly put a needle in his stomach and made him stare at his own guts on the floor.
The narrator's really good. So here's a great example of co-op.
It's very funny.
This is me playing co-op with Ben, Jinka, and my brother. And this is one of the party members you can get. And I basically like was talking to him and saying like, hey, I really want to get you as a party member. We basically sealed the deal. All of a sudden, the dialogue box just booted me out. And Ben had like just taken a shell. You can pick up objects and just throw them. And he threw a shell at the dude. And then all of a sudden the guy's like, you have dishonored me. Yeah. And then we just suddenly got into a fight with him.
Yeah.
And we basically were just like, so he won't join our party anymore. We have to murder him now. Should we reload? Should we like start over? And we were thinking about it. We're just like, you know what? No, we're gonna stick with this, and we're just gonna kill this guy.
Yeah, this game is
this is me like debating. Like, I have a save. We can load.
Yeah, you can just F5 at any time, and it'll save it really fast.
There's
F6
I'm like
to load
almost
it.
did it, and we're like,
There's something to be said about like just hearing that. Like, as funny as it sounds, like when you think of like a classic like squad or buddy Trek adventure movie, like there's always that one shady character who's always screwing up everything.
It's the heist thing. It's like, we don't trust this guy. Someone vouches for him. Yeah.
He's weird. He's a loose cannon.
Yeah.
And throwing shells at people.
The way
That's
the
the
game
playing
is
with
designed,
Ben Jank experience.
It's really
I trust
easy to
Ben.
do that.
I love Ben.
Like you
When
can
he's killed
just
someone.
you can accidentally just piss off anyone and murder anyone.
Like completely 180, right? Like,
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
Mike, you had said another really funny thing while
Sorry,
playing.
speaking of Michael Madsen and Mr. Blonde being that last minute psycho.
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
He's just gonna cut someone's ear off.
What was I talking about?
You were playing and you go, whoops, I just accidentally killed her. And apparently you were like addressing a woman who had like her throat
Well, she was bleeding out from this story point that I won't spoil, and I was pressing a cloth to her neck and trying to save her. And
rapidly tapping
Chris, who works here, walked over behind us, and we were talking about it. And I was kind of listening to your conversation, like a work-related one, but also playing. And I honestly think my finger just spazzed out, and I clicked through 2 dialogue options instead of 1, and the next one was aligned with my mouse, and it just said "slit her throat," and it's like she just died.
Whoa.
But like you said, Jean-Luc, it's one of those games where like the best part of this game is just rolling with your choices, kind of like Echo. It's all coming back now, but it's like I was like I could load a save, but I also kind of like the idea that my character literally just accidentally killed her.
Right.
You
It
could-
might not be in character, but I'm also kind of like, well, we'll figure out who my character is as I go.
You could argue that you mercy killed her. She was already bleeding out.
Right.
Yeah.
Or you're just a klutz and you're like trying to get your like bandage out and just drop the dagger.
That was what the option said. It said you decide to finish her quick and give her like solace or something. And I was like, I probably could have saved her if I really put my mind to it. But I was busy.
So
AKA, you're kind of a dick.
Whatever.
No, as a prompt, sorry. It's just like, otherwise known as you're a dick and you just killed her.
I do have a question. So I didn't play the first one, and I'm a little intimidated to jump in. Can I just play it? Do I have to know
No.
anything about?
No, not at all. There's
Yeah, you can just jump in.
Yeah, you can just jump right in.
Yeah.
There
Yeah.
are-
Just clarifying what he was responding to.
I said no.
What about
No,
what,
don't
what,
play
what
it,
about me?
Kelly.
What about me? What about me? Can I just jump in?
yeah, you can play Rob.
So the
Sick.
thing is, like I mentioned earlier, a few reviews are saying this is like one of the best like isometric, very like traditional PC RPGs in a long time.
Definitely.
Like people always reference Baldur's Gate 2 as one of those like great ones, and
we getting a lot of those recently.
Yeah.
You know, what was it? A Planescape Torment.
that
I was
was
gonna
way
say
more.
Planescape.
You're right for sure. I played that, and that was way more all mostly based on like text and.
That's a
narrative.
very text-heavy game. Yeah.
And the combat was few and far between. This game, you can just fight with anybody at any time. Not that you need combat for a good game like this, but that kind of feeds into your character and stuff.
Well, this game, the combat is really rad because it like plays into this like experimental like kind of like elements combo stuff. So you get, you know, there's basic stuff like, okay, I'm gonna lay down oil and then I'm gonna shoot it with a fire arrow and it's gonna spread fire everywhere. But then you get like weird stuff where it's like, okay, I just killed that man and a pool of blood has now like spilled on the ground and I can electrify it. And now there's electric blood that'll like zap anyone who has steps in
Electric
it.
Blood
Yes.
is my band name.
Dang it.
Also, undead characters, if you try to use a regular healing potion, it'll hurt you.
It'll hurt them.
And a lot of food does too. And I still have not figured out which food, because sometimes food heals me, sometimes it does
It's
not.
like, I think it's like rotten food probably.
I was gonna say
No,
rotten
no.
food.
I just picked up an apple and I ate
Oh,
it and it
that's
hurt
fine.
me. And then I picked up cheese and it hurt.
Dude, you
Or, no,
better-
it worked.
I pray you have more stories of just like you're trying to like pretend you're like
About to die, be like, fuck.
No.
Looking at this wheel of cheese, you're like,
no,
fucking
worse.
Russian roulette. Pull the
No.
trigger, Mike.
Worse, where it's like you're like there's like some quest you're doing where it's like come in my house, like young man, like take off the bucket. No, okay.
Putting stuffing.
It is an honor in this household that you
Stuffing-
eat this bread,
stuffing
or else
meat
I
up
will
into
have to
my
kill
face.
you. You're just like,
It's like hurting you. You're like, oh.
It's either take off the bucket or eat this dark meat, man. No, but also poison heals undead characters.
Right.
You have to use poison. So one of the characters, she is an elf, I believe, with a scar on her cheek. She an elf.
Yeah.
She has this ability. She could just throw these poison flasks. So someone, or maybe she had one equipped, but she came up next to me in a fight. Like you see a bunch of characters grouped up here, and I have 2 undead characters because my main character is undead, but you also get another companion. And we were really low in health, so I had her throw the poison like bomb essentially at us. So it killed the person next to us, but gave us
you
both
just
like 50
ran right
HP.
in.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah.
I picture that scenario where you're like, I need healing, and she just like throws like a dagger in your back, and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, much better.
quick
Ideal.
cyanide me,
Ideal.
quick, throw some cyanide in my face.
Here's some
feels good,
Kool-Aid.
man.
Thanks.
Drink this Kool-Aid. Also,
weird.
This situation was actually kind of cool. So I picked one of the origin characters. So you have you can make your own custom character, but you can also pick an origin character which has like its own specific backstory that actually can then like play into the narrative. And my character's backstory, because I heard like that's if you want like that's maybe a good way to start is just kind of like pick an origin character because you get that extra narrative. My character has like a voice inside their head that like possesses them and tells them to do stuff. So I met
like
this
schizophrenia.
like a demon, like a literal demon.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Okay.
More literal.
Okay.
And I like met this woman who's like a seer, and she's like, oh, like you got this like demon inside you, and my character's like, how did you know that? She's like, yeah, like it's really angry, and like, do you want to know more about it? Because I know some stuff, because like I can see the future, and you're like, please tell me. And then the demon like took over my body, and like I started attacking her, and it's like now I'm in combat, and so I had to. They're like, okay, the only way to get either I have to murder this woman. Or
Fuck, I want to play this game right now.
or I have to get my character down to a certain amount of health to like knock me out of the trance. So I had to have all my other companions like attack me. So I have like all my companions like shooting me in the face with bows.
Is awesome.
It's such a like a Dungeons and Dragons-ish kind of like you really start developing a character like through your abilities and stuff, but also through the choices you're making that kind of tie into. It's so great at. I'm already loving that aspect of it, but it's also very much like. This is another kind of funny thing that happened that I don't think I told everybody because it was embarrassing. That whole you're in a prison. Like I think most of the gameplay we're seeing right now, you're on this island. It's called Fort Joy. It's a great name.
Area.
But you're essentially trying to figure out how to get out of there. And then, but it's so great at like giving each character a motivation to get out of there. He'll be like, I need to go see this person about regaining my throne because I'm this exiled prince. And then this girl will be like, I need to find this area. Apparently there's this safe spot. And then, but also how you're getting out. A lot of each of the companions will kind of have, or you'll just stumble upon strategies. Like I stumbled into this area by playing hide and seek with this kid. And then I came upon this like 1,000-year-old knight with a spear through his chest that had petrified him, but he was also an undead character. So my dialogue options when I pulled the spear out of his chest and he came back to life, kind of undead life, he's like, oh, thank you, you're one of my kin, and I appreciate it. But then that gave me a way out because he's like, here's a map, you can go to this part of, you can sneak in by pressing this button on this statue in the courtyard. Right. But then there's another point where, going back to that guy, many lizards are seers. Is it only lizards are seers?
No, that elf is a seer.
Oh, okay.
Too, so.
But they're seers. They can essentially, they're kind of like Bran from Game of Thrones or something. They can see stuff. But so she killed him because she had beef with him. She just slit open his stomach. I was like, oh, great. I hope I don't need him. And I went over to talk to someone else, and he's like, apparently there's a lizard seer nearby that could help you get out of the prison. You're like, fuck. And he's dead with his intestines hanging out around him. But
is there anyone else?
Yeah. Are you a seer by any chance? Oh man, it's really fun so far, and I want to play more co-op. Rob,
yeah,
we should start a game.
The co-op
really
is
that sounds up my alley.
It kind of changes the way it reminds me of like playing an actual D&D campaign where you know, you're like, okay guys, this is what we need to do, but everyone kind of has their own like objective or what they want to do, so you can split up. So my brother was playing a skeleton. We couldn't figure out that he needed to like put like a bucket on his head or whatever. So every time you would try to walk into like the area, everyone would immediately like murder all of us. So we're like, okay, you need to go hang out in the woods. No. And we're going to go do the quest. And then eventually he's like, all right, I found a hood. I'll wear that. And we're like, all right, cool. You can come in now.
He's the Charlie Kelly of your party.
Hey guys, what's going on?
Okay, hold on a second.
Yeah.
What are you wearing bushes for here?
Oh, that is the stealth. You can stealth. So I was stealthing up to these enemies. And then my character gets extra damage when I'm on a high place.
Are you a rogue?
So yeah, I'm a
ranger.
Archer. Ranger.
Yeah,
I'm a ranger.
yeah,
So
I
got up to the high ledge, and then Ben moved this barrel over to where they were, and then I shot it to start the fight, and then set that giant crocodile on fire.
Is it like? I mean, this is probably a dumb question, but is it like? Did you find it detrimental at all? Like
Playing co-op?
Well, no. As far as some of these characters, like I can't stop thinking about the one you were describing, where like you literally weren't able to control your character because the demon was controlling. Like
Well,
I don't know if I would want you on my team.
That's
like,
very story specific.
Sorry, I can't do it. Sorry, I'm killing you. I can't do anything about it.
I mean,
It's not my fault.
It's not my fault.
Well, playing co-op, you get into these weird things where just you know, yeah, it's like, okay, I'm gonna go do this quest, and you're like, yeah, I went and like stole a bunch of shit, and then you can like mess with people where you can be like, hey man, check out this sick sword I bought. I want you to have it. And you're like, oh, thanks. And it's like totally stolen. And then like a guard will come up to you and be like, you stole that? I'm going to put you in prison now. And then you're in prison, but he's fine. Or you can take a health potion, or you can get a poison potion, dye it red, and it looks like a health potion. You can give it to your buddy and be like, hey man, have a potion.
Or conversely, maybe dye some potion green and give it to an undead character.
Dead guy.
Here's some poison.
Here's some poison, man. It'll help you out.
Guess what? I love poison.
So you can like, I imagine to a certain degree, like the game you could just spend hours just like messing with your friends.
Well, just
right?
I feel like there's so many opportunities to like really roll a 1 on any encounter, just like totally mess it up,
Right.
and screw up, and then you have to roll with it. Like the idea of like, oh, I just have to wait till my friends can lower my health so the demon escapes me. Just like,
or yeah, it's like I was talking with that guy and having a very nice conversation, and then my friend just goes up and throws a shell at his face. And I
Yeah.
have to kill him.
I mean, it's
that's
hard
the
to
D&D spirit.
it's hard to say. Like, I would encourage everyone, if you're into like RPGs, absolutely play this game. If
Definitely.
you have a PC, play this game. And I know like the gameplay you're seeing, it is very, very dense to
Yeah.
say the least. Menu wise, possibility wise, emergent gameplay wise, but you should definitely try to play. I can't remember the last time I played a game where I was less prone to like reloading a save.
Right.
I'm like, I'm gonna roll with this choice. This will make it interesting somehow. She killed our only way out of prison, so maybe I'll just be here for another 20 hours and I'll still find shit to do.
I will say you'll probably have a little better time if you play it single player in terms of just like traditional video game. Like, you know, you can read all the dialogue and kind of have, you know, options with quests. Like when you're playing co-op, everyone has conversations separately and you can listen in, but you could also like completely miss a conversation because your friend like went off and talked to another person and you don't know what that conversation was. So there's a reliance on like talking with them, or when like he talked to this person, activate this quest. If I go talk to them, they don't know who I am. So like it's like, oh, you have to talk to this person now because you have that built-in relationship with that character. So that can get like
I
a
like
bit,
that though. That
no,
sounds
it's cool, but it can get kind of hard to manage. And like we hit a point where we're like,
just
okay.
yelling at Ben Jenka. Just
Well, it was like an hour where we're just like, okay, what should we do? And we're all like, well, I have this quest, and it's like, well, I have these 3 quests, and we just like had no idea what to do. And like it's a game that is so dense that you can get lost, and it just becomes like even harder when you have like a bunch of people who want to do stuff. But so you have to kind of like let go the fact that like maybe you're not going to get that much accomplished if you're playing by yourself. But on the reverse end, like the satisfaction of playing with people and like that role-playing experience is like really, really cool.
Yeah, I would definitely say you'll understand the systems and mechanics at play better if you maybe play like 8 to 10 hours of single player, and that's really nothing in this game.
Although
but
you certainly learn stuff together. Like that's how we're like, oh guys, I found out that, you know, poison hurts me, and it's or healing hurts me, like stuff like that. Just like, all right, cool. Like,
guys, guess what? Poison hurts.
I mean, like
Get off the team.
like Rob and Kelly, as people who have both, like many people, played a lot of Breath of the Wild, it reminds me nothing at all like Breath of the Wild, but in the sense that there's a ton to do, but somehow they make it so it's not overwhelming, so you don't mind that you're missing out on a lot of stuff because you're still doing a bunch of these cool things that other people probably didn't see.
I think the best way to design something like that is to just make it like, just follow what you think is interesting.
yeah,
And then you're not missing out.
totally.
The story is yours.
And the writing's fantastic. I'm not just saying that
It's
because
really good. It's all
Kevin
voiced
Van
too,
Ork.
which
Yeah.
really, really helps.
It's funny, like as hell at some parts, especially
awesome.
seeing all this stuff like kind of interact. My character is I'm a polymorph, so I can turn into like he like specializes in 2-handed weapons right now, but you can turn into like a spectral bull with horns and then ram people, or turn your arm into like an octopus tentacle that stuns people. It's really fun so far.
It's like so
Excellent.
much stuff. Like
that's-
elves in this game can eat body parts to like relive memories. So if you're an elf, so an elf, like those crocodiles, like we found a corpse later by, and like our
Arm in
elf
the
character
crocodile?
ate it,
Crocodile?
and we just
Sorry.
was I saying it wrong?
No, I said crocodile.
And it's just like the last moments of this guy who got like eaten by a crocodile, and like him being like, nah, I didn't think it would go out this way, huh? Like got eaten by this crocodile. But then you actually can get like cool you can like learn like how to do something. Like, oh, we killed that guy, but I eat him, and I gained the information that he had, and we can solve it that way.
And then later you meet a guy with one arm. He's like, hey, have you seen my arm anywhere? And you're like, I ate it.
Whatever, I don't know.
Yeah.
I kind of ate it.
So I actually have like a bunch of like severed heads in my like
I have
inventory right now.
I have
And,
several
like,
limbs.
occasionally I'm just like, hey, let's just have my elf eat it and see what we learned.
I have
I'm
several
gonna have my elf eat it.
Hey, come check out my heads.
Yep. I have a few separate limbs in my backpack right now.
So, co-op wise, it's 4-player co-op,
Up to 4.
up to 4, and that's it. It's anything like down the road. This game seems like it's like
No, so
There's an arena mode for PvP stuff yet.
So-
Is that out yet?
yes, that is. I believe that's out, and there's also that Dungeons and Dragons mode that we did a while before.
that's I was kind of alluding to. That thing
Right.
was really neat to do.
So
or
that's in the
watch.
game. That's
What-
crazy. Essentially, you
Like,
can
what is it?
make your own custom like campaign.
Oh, cool.
And
So it's like assisted DMing.
So you have you have everyone play the party, and then you have a fifth person play the DM, and they can create the map ahead of time, and they can also at any point pause the game and then like change things around. They can type in dialogue, like they can completely control it, and they actually have a really good like tutorial area they play, which is one of like the D&D like starter quests as like an example of like here's how to do it.
Oh,
and
that's
like
so
really
cool.
rad. And they're essentially like you can create your own campaigns, and the game also has really good mod support for just all sorts of things. But you can download other people's like campaigns and play them.
And then like DM it yourself.
And DM it
That
yourself.
is so cool.
It was
really cool.
It was surprisingly, for me at least, as someone who doesn't know D&D that well at all, it was surprisingly engaging and entertaining to watch. It was Justin, Jean-Luc, and Michael Hyam who played, and Justin was this like, what was his character? His background was like
a Southern Belle.
Justin
this
Haywald?
Southern, yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Literally,
he DMs in real life all the time.
He's doing this role playing. Oh, hello, good sir. He went up to this like, it was like some goblin in a cave.
Like rolled a 20.
Rolled a 20, and like the DM from Divinity was just like, oh my god. He's like.
So
he's
you had to,
I
like,
live
think
for
about
this.
it, yeah.
It was incredible. So
I woke up today praying for this shit.
so the goblin basically was like, "Oh, you're so pretty," and was mesmerized by Justin, and like the goblin led him through the cave, past all these enemies to the end where they met like the Goblin King or whatever it was, and the guy was like, "I don't know it." He's like, Justin says like that he knows you guys, and he's like, "I don't know this guy." Literally, yeah, we met. Justin tried to use his like good looks one more time, and the goblin was just like, bam, just one hit kill, and then they like lost. Basically, it was so.
It's like that's the
freaking
thing
funny.
with Dungeons and Dragons has always had a one-up over video games in that there's like unlimited amount of options you can do, right? And video games have always
Imagination-wise.
been
Yeah.
limited.
Yeah.
And the single player in this game feels like they're trying to push it to its absolute limits, where it has almost that like Breath of the Wild like, oh, could I try that? Like, oh wow, that actually does
Yeah.
work. Like they thought of so many things, but it still is at the end of the day a video game that is limited. And that DM mode is like just completely. It gives you the tools to do whatever you want and have
totally
that
breaks it
imagination.
open.
Yeah.
It's
And then you have
fascinating.
like this visual element that you can play with. It's really really cool.
I've not seen many limitations yet at all in
Yeah.
my like 8 hours.
Yeah,
or so.
yeah. Just the single player alone, it's insane what they can offer.
It's on PC. And
Yeah,
anything
so the
else?
firone came out on Xbox One. I think Maximum Games ported it about a
They
year
eventually-
after.
yes.
There's no word on that yet.
Yeah, you had a tweet about that. Someone was asking about.
Yeah,
if they're
we
gonna
have a
put out
question we'll bring up right now. If Richard, you don't mind bringing it up. So I apologize if I'm butchering this name. Tarek Ramchani on Twitter was saying, any idea about the release date of Divinity Original Sin 2 on consoles? The first Divinity Original Sin Enhanced Edition worked really great on PS4.
So I don't know when it's coming out, but when they put out the enhanced edition, they, in addition to adding a bunch of extra stuff, they put out like controller support, which was actually like, and it changes all the menus and it works really well. And it also had like split screen, so you could do like couch co-op,
Oh, cool.
which was really really fun. That stuff is
with this game.
with this game.
That sounds
Yeah.
pretty intensive as far as like what your HUD would look like, or
Well,
is it simplified?
so you could set it.
the
You could say
Switch?
like, oh, we can't. It'll be one screen that we're shared, or it would like split it, or you could set it so it would like dynamically split.
Or you just
it was
lose some HUD elements or something like
loose-
that.
yeah. So it was pretty well done, and this game has it built in by default. I got to have some footage of me just like with the controller support. Like they have it built into the PC version from the get-go.
So it's a possible port for sure.
I think they're definitely
Yeah.
going to do it. I don't know when, but I imagine it will not be as long as the first game because they already have that mechanic like
Neat.
built in. Like yeah, here's the
right.
controller support. It's like they changes the menus, but it's very like intuitive and easy to do.
Nice.
Yeah, so this
Cool.
game was in early access for, I think, the majority of 2017. It wasn't the full game. It was a big chunk of it, but now it's out on PC. $60 full price from Larian Studios over in Belgium. Congratulations to them. They made a game that has me hooked, and I am looking forward to playing it more, and
yeah,
jeez.
I want to play it right now. I'm like
It's-
ready to go.
it's fantastic.
It's dense.
I like it
really
a lot.
dense.
Yeah.
I want to be a skeleton.
Oh, it's fun. Because, yeah, between the poison and the way people react to you, and like characters keep saying, like, one of my dialogue options is undead, because you do tags, right? Character tags. So I picked, like, I'm an outlaw, I'm an undead, like, race, but I'm also, my class, combat class is the polymorph, or polymorph, I think. And, like, you'll have different, obviously, dialogue options. This is nothing new, but it's funny, my undead one is almost always, tell them that you're undead. Because I have a bucket on my head. All right, I have a bucket because I haven't found a better helmet.
This is always an option.
So it's just like, but they decide to join my quest. Like, because you have to convince them. Some characters are easier than others.
Probably
But
like let them know, right?
should I tell them that I'm just a skeleton?
So about the real world application of that, just like hearing it and being like, "You're what?"
Yeah.
Tell them
and they're
you're
like
undead.
reviled. They're kind of like there's very like much a prejudice against undead characters in this world.
I would think so.
And there's this
And-
item you can get where you can any corpse you can like steal their face and
Yeah.
like wear it as well.
That's
so
what
you
I
can like
mentioned
change your
during that
you
scene.
can-
I think people were kind of upset with that.
Lots
Yeah.
of face stealing
But
this
so
week.
at any point you can like change your race too, which like because the game actually does have like race politics, like people in certain quests like will treat you differently because they're like,
If
oh,
you're a lizard or
I hate
whatever.
elves or something, and so it's like, oh, this guy only talks to lizards. Let me go find a lizard and kill him and steal his face, and then I'll go talk to this person and they'll be more friendly with me.
See, undead seems like the only option.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Callie, your skin is hanging off your bones.
No, so one of the characters, she, what's her name? It's the elf that we just saw with the scar on her cheek, and she, like in the dialogue options, she apparently has this needle. Like, do you ever see Kiss of the Dragon with Jet Li and who else is in that? There's a few people, but the Kiss of the Dragon is this one spot on the back of his neck where he'd put a needle and you just paralyze and bleed everywhere. So she essentially has this needle she puts in people to like stun them. And it's like she's pressing against it, and then I told her, no. Listen, it was the best thing ever. She's like standing next to me. She's like, one more inch and I could kill you in the most painful way possible. And then meanwhile, I'm just like, it doesn't hurt me. But then no. So then I convince her to join my quest. She's very distrusting of me. And then after that, I was like, by the way, I'm undead. She's like, yeah, I know. I didn't feel skin at all when I was pressing the needle in. She's like, I'm not an idiot. I was like, all right.
One more hit.
I can't believe like they wrote so much dialogue.
That's like half the brilliance of this game. I can't imagine how many words of dialogue they had to write for every possible situation. It seems like astronomical. I can't imagine another game that compares.
It's like a million words apparently.
Like compared to like if you compare Skyrim to this, it must dwarf Skyrim. It's insane. Of course, it's more text based.
And Skyrim's a lot of like repetitive like
Sure.
NPC stuff.
Yeah.
Like this doesn't. Yeah, I have not seen.
Let
that.
me guess, someone stole your Swiss roll.
Yeah, it's Divinity is.
They all
Oh
say
man,
that.
I love that game. Cool. So that's our
Thanks,
show.
Rob.
Play Divinity, play Death of
got
the
it.
Outsider, play Pokken DX Tournament, play Echo for sure.
Most def.
We'll probably have more on that game coming out this week because that game deserves more press. That's our show. We have a giveaway as usual. Shiva, who runs our Twitter account, will be announcing this right now. Overwatch Razer Death Adder Elite Mice. We are giving away 5 of these. It's designed as an esports gaming mouse.
I like that black mat.
Yeah.
So it looks.
So as usual, follow GameSpot on Twitter if you don't already, and then retweet the giveaway tweet and go to our site. I think you should be able to find it there as well. We change it up from time to time, and we're gonna pick the winners this weekend. We'll get back to you once that happens. We're gonna pick random winners. So that was a fun show.
Yeah.
Pete will be back next week. I just said pizza. Last week I mentioned I might be out this week for a video shoot. That might actually happen next week. It's kind of a last minute thing. But otherwise it should be, semi-normal cast. But
Yeah, this year's ramping up, huh?
What do you mean?
Just
it's
now?
been
But like
now.
more so, like October.
Yeah, so what's on the horizon
Best
now?
month.
Later
October is the
September.
best month.
So yeah, like Friday's Pokken Tournament DX.
Shadow of
Danganronpa.
Shadow of War is
War.
October 10th.
Danganronpa.
Yeah.
Evil Within is the 13th.
Sorry, I missed it. What's the next one?
The next one I can think of is Shadow of War is on the
big
10th, I believe, and then Evil Within 2 is the 13th, and then later in October it's Super Mario Odyssey, Assassin's Creed Origins, and Wolfenstein 2, and then November's Call of Duty World War 2, Battlefront 2. But those are only like the massive AAA games, and there are still a lot I'm forgetting right now. I think South Park's December, or no, South Park's November now, right? Or no, shit, is that October?
Shit,
Hold on a
what?
second.
I thought it was delayed from October.
Someone else talk.
I'm pretty sure South Park got delayed from its October release date.
Battlefront 2 open beta, I believe, is like next weekend or 2 weekends from now.
Shoot, is it? Oh man.
Yeah, no. Fractured
Danganronpa
Butthole
3.
Fractured Butthole is October 17th.
Wow.
Oh, still?
That sucks.
It's been delayed so many times. I just,
Yeah, it was December last year originally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Danganronpa. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
V3.
V3.
It's out now.
No, I think
Oh.
it's the 23rd.
You're playing
but
through it?
Yeah, I'm playing through it, and it's that's what I'll be doing. But that's a game that you got to have played the first two. So probably people aren't going to come around to playing 3.
Cuphead's next week.
Cuphead.
Yeah.
What? Oh my god.
Someone upstairs here in our CBSI building. He's a designer. Seems that you guys know Alex. He walked by. We have a monitor in the lobby that shows like our stuff in Giant Bomb, and then it's next to like the CNET TV. But he saw Cuphead. He's like, "Damn, what is this?" I was like, "It's like a hand-drawn video game. It's like He's like, "How the hell do they do that?" I was like, "I have no idea, but it's taking a long time. It's coming out next week."
It's like, oh, cool.
Yeah. That game's hard.
And then he said how much we suck at it.
No, yeah.
No? Okay. All right.
No, I get it. Yeah, the whole
Yeah.
game journalist should be good at games.
I'm sorry about that.
Apex Penguin was just asking if we can give him any life advice.
General life.
Never
Rob.
give up on your dreams. Love is the best thing in the universe.
Yeah.
Love is what life is about.
Yeah.
Buy Echo.
Someone from Ultra is watching and be like, "Oh, I like this guy." They're gonna send you a
Alright.
life-size Echo.
I don't want that.
Okay.
That'd be horrifying.
Yeah, Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Unfortunately, none
That's
of us got
out.
the chance to play it, but that is out. Apparently, it's really good. Joey's been playing it. We have a lot of coverage up. Tamoor's full review. So we started actually scoring reviews in progress. So he gave it an 8 as of now, but I think his full final review should be up later this week with video and everything. So keep an eye out for that. But in the meantime, as always, leave your thoughts in the comments, whether you're on YouTube or on GameSpot. We always look through those and appreciate your feedback. We'll have a lot more videos from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. We're going to be doing some face scanning stuff with NBA Live and 2K, which should be hilarious as always. And yeah, we will be back next week, same time, Wednesday, 11 a.m. here in San Francisco. We'll see you then.